What's going on, everybody? Welcome to our third episode of Sideline Summit. I'm here with my co-host Daniel Cole, UPenn's finest, but he seems to be home for the weekend, and I'm actually up at my brother's school, Kutztown University, where my brother will actually be a co-host, or he'll be our guest on this episode. But before we get into that, Danny, how are you doing today?
Yeah, there's a lot of news going on in the sports world. You got the Steelers hiring Brian Flores. You got the NBA All-Star game. There's a lot to talk about. I think it's a great day. Hit 225 on bench. Have to plug that there. Really big
Yeah,
accomplishment outside of school.
huge memory, fellas. If you're listening and if you hit your 225 bench, comment down below if you've ever hit 225, and I'll send you $5 if you've ever hit 225. Daniel, you're not allowed to comment, and I know if you're lying. I do know if you're lying. And if you really need proof, send it to one of us on Instagram. And you can send it to our Instagram at Sideline Summit Pod. Whatever. All right, but I think it's time to bring in our guest for today, my brother, Jovani Perez. We're going to talk some Steelers. Well, it's time to bring in our guest for this episode, my brother, Jovani Perez. He also has a YouTube channel. He streams gaming. He's a huge Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and he likes the Celtics just as I do. Jovani, how are you doing today?
I'm gonna be completely honest. I feel like crap. I'm currently dealing with a hangover, so excuse me if I stutter. Look like crap. Well, that's natural, but just bear with me for this. Thank you much.
While he's here, him and Danny are huge Steelers fans, so they're this is almost their segment. But I'm still going to pull up, what they're going to be talking about. And first thing we want to touch on is Steelers draft. Before I let them kind of take over, I just want to put my input. I think they should not trade up. I think they should just sit there and take whatever QB is there for them if they don't already have one on the team. Whether that be, honestly, I think they should get Matt Corral or they should get Malik Willis. Malik Willis has been a guy that Tomlin has liked for this process. But that's just what I think. I'm going to hand the mic over to Jovani. This is really a Danny and Jovani segment.
Well,
Yeah, I guess I'll
to
start
begin,
here. I'll start here.
I'm just gonna give it to you.
Yeah, the Steelers really have an interesting position where we need O line to let Najee Harris do his thing. We also our quarterback play is kind of non-existent. Big Ben was kind of negative value to the team last year. We need to find a long-term answer. I don't think the long-term answer is in this draft. If we sit here, I'd rather us take an offensive lineman or a different positional prospect. But I think the Steelers might reach and go for like Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett if they're there. I think we could find our answer in Jimmy Garoppolo for a year or two and try to work through the draft in the next 2 years. But I don't think it's this year.
I'm liking the position that you're going with here, but um, considering those quarterbacks in the league currently, we can definitely find something with those people. Aaron Rodgers not being familiar or in good standards with his team, back-to-back MVP, a pickup like that would be game-changing, even if it's for a few years. On top of that, we could have, Deshaun Watson is in the talk, but he has other outside issues, external parties that he needs to extinguish with first. Um, like you said, Jimmy G, but in my true opinion for the Steelers draft, I say we move up. And in saying that, I feel like we found our new middle linebacker, the one that is actually here to stay. I think Joe Schobert proved himself that he can have the position and start in the position. And Devin Bush is just too valuable of a man to let sit on the bench or catch a few snaps a game. So I feel like the combination of Devin Bush and the draft pick that we have, we can move up. And not so much to grab a quarterback, unless that's what we desire. If we can grab like the number 1 or 2 quarterback, I'm even if not, I'm a big fan of Carson Strong. He's a big, tall quarterback with great throw power.
His baby hands.
He is still throwing it
Joe
over
Burrow
your
had
favorite
baby
corner.
hands.
Get
Come
on
on
my
now.
face. Joe Burrow has baby hands. All right, don't sleep on the baby hands. Baby hands in the NFL is your size hands. How do you feel?
I'm not in the NFL.
All right, I don't want to
I'm
hear
a
that. Then
19-year-old
you
recording
two
a
you
podcast.
two have baby hands, as they say.
Hmm.
But I am a
There's
fan
two
of
names that
some of these
you didn't
quarterbacks,
mention that I would really like in Pittsburgh next year: Russell Wilson
and
and
they are.
Carson Wentz.
Russ,
Russell
you
Wilson
can't
and Carson
forget
Wentz could
about
really.
Wentz. I do not want to see
Nope.
Wentz.
Hold on,
I
I
absolutely
need
do
to.
not want to see
I
Wentz.
have a
Go
question
ahead.
for Danny.
Go ahead.
Give me the logic behind Wentz, because obviously I'm an Eagles fan. I've seen Carson Wentz at his absolute highest and his absolute lowest. So I don't know what's your vision on that, because his contract is so bad. Like, I don't know what's the vision.
Yeah, Wentz's contract. So Wentz's contract isn't as bad as you think. The debt, his guaranteed money ends this year. So his contract is expiring in 2022. So it's not that bad of a contract. Uh, Wentz really played like a young Big Ben, and if he can bring any sort of mobileness, any sort of touch, I think Tomlin can really reconnect him with that touch. Uh, I don't think he had the weapons in Indianapolis. He had Michael Pittman and nothing else. He kind of really had to rely on a run game. If you give him Deontay Johnson, Claypool would be his Pittman now. I think Carson Wentz can go to the other side of Pennsylvania and kind of turn it around.
I see the vision. I do see the vision, but I'm going to disagree, because I've seen the man literally average 2 turnovers a game, so it's hard.
That's coming from an Eagles fan that he
Yeah,
helped
but
carried them to a Super
he had
Bowl.
Hurts better.
Hurts.
he had 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions this year. That's the exact same stat line he had 2 years ago when people were saying he carried them to the playoffs.
That's a good point. But however, no one's going to look at that. Everyone's going to look at he absolutely shit the bucket against, Jacksonville Jaguars. But enough about Carson Wentz. News that broke today, right before we started, was the Brian Flores hiring. And a lot of people are thinking like, oh, we've never seen someone go from head coach to like a positional coach. But, he's your guys now. Brian Flores is the linebacker coach and defensive senior assistant for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So just want to know your guys' thoughts. We'll start with Jovani.
Well, I absolutely love the signing. You can't go wrong with signing the man that was already in such a high position prior. And I feel like with this new type core that we have with the linebackers, we have TJ Watt as our edge rusher. We have Alex Highsmith, who's been injured for a portion of the year, but now he's coming back. He's going to get a lot of knowledge put into his head, especially from a man that watched the whole defense rather than now he's just focused on a single core. I believe this is a huge signing. And going forward, I'm a big Joe Schobert guy. But if Devin Bush can get in there too, his value can be even more in a year from now.
Yeah, I don't think you realize Schobert has a really high cap hit. He might wind up being cut this offseason to create some cap, just cap casualty. He's a great player for the Steelers, but I don't know if they're going to pay him $13 million a year like he's getting. But I think that on the Flores hiring, Brian Flores really he used to coach linebackers for the Patriots, so he's bringing that experience. I think what he brings to the defense is overall experience. Tomlin really wasn't calling plays. Keith Butler's old defense was kind of dated. The Steelers they're running this Blitzburg defense where their corners suck, their linebackers aren't playing good coverage. And I think Flores can bring them in and coach them up to actually play good coverage.
I definitely agree that is an aspect we need to look at. Cross the middle balls are just so easy against the Steelers. We rush everybody and don't play quick enough. So I believe Brian Flores is definitely the man for this. Would you like to give an input?
No, I'll add a little bit of input. You're adding a very good defensive mind to an already pretty solid defense. I said if the Steelers had even Jimmy Garoppolo as their quarterback, I said they'd be the 1 seed. I truly believe there is just that much talent on the team. But speaking, of the Steelers, where they would rank, let's get into some predictions. You guys, just talk about maybe record, where they'll sit in the North next year, how far they can get in the playoffs. And to be honest, I think they could easily end up last in their division. I'll give them third, though, because I think the Browns are taking a risk going another year with Baker, and it's going to go wrong. So I think they'll end up third. They get another 7-seeded berth, and they'll unfortunately have to play another good team in the first round. And then the Steelers will be the poster child of why the 7th seed shouldn't exist. But I think it's a good idea, actually. Jovani can go next.
I can't say that we'll be dead last from what you're going with the Browns. It's just something about them. We have their number. Myles Garrett gets better every year, but we always find a way around him. And without him, that
No,
defense
you can't
is
find a
not
way
stoppable.
around him on the basketball court, though. Myles Garrett on the basketball court is
No,
Yes,
wait,
sir.
All-Star
Yes, sir.
talks a little
Come on.
bit, But yeah, that man is a walking athlete. There's nothing you can do with that man. But we definitely did everything we can to avoid him, get the ball out quicker. And I always feel like we have one step ahead on the Browns, and that's why we will continue to be in the spot that we are. Unless they have a huge defensive draft pick somehow in this year's draft, some studs to drop to them or something, that's what's going to hold them up. But other than that, I don't think Baker Mayfield, even if he's the better quarterback compared to ours, I just do not believe that he is going to make the right plays and beat us. In predictions to playoffs, though, we are on both sides. We have the potential to be a great team, but we also have a lot of people in our way. So can't say we're going to slip under 8-8, though. No negative seasons. That's not the Steelers way.
9-8.
Oh, I forgot. There's
Whatever.
next year.
You know what you. Yeah,
we ain't slipping. We are not slipping. We're in 8-1. What's up with it? Yeah.
So
team,
next year, the Steelers actually have a really easy schedule. They wind up playing the Raiders, who might as well be a dumpster fire going forward because we don't know what's going on with them. They play the Saints, who have been downward spiraling. They play the Jets. They play the Bucks, who we have no clue what's going to happen to them.
Yeah.
They play the Browns twice. They play the Ravens twice, which are good games. They also play the Falcons, and they also play the Dolphins. All of those games that I mentioned should be shoe-in wins. I think the Steelers could legitimately finish the season at 11-6 or 12-5. And with that mindset, I could see them winning the division.
It's great that you said that, too, because there was another team I feel like we can walk over very quickly. We're taking a trip over to Philadelphia this year, and we are going to smack up on some birds. I know that. So
they play in Philadelphia this year?
You're darn tootin', and I'm going to.
I'm buying tickets. Jalen Hurts is going to have the game of his life. He's going to throw for 350-plus yards. He's going to have 4 touchdowns. He's going to have that kind of performance that Carson Wentz had his rookie year against the Pittsburgh Steelers when we beat the living crap out of them 31-3. It's going to be something like that. Hopefully, Malik Willis is your quarterback at the time. So, he gets his welcome to the NFL moment when Darius Slay gets 2 pick sixes on him. To end the game.
Yeah. TJ Watt's breaking the single game sack record that game. I'm just saying.
Lane Johnson.
Nobody stopped
him.
He's going
to
Euro step Lane Johnson into retirement.
Bro, Jovani, take the bias aside. TJ's not getting 7 sacks on Jordan Mailata or Lane Johnson. Sorry.
It's 7? Is that really the stat? I thought it was a joke.
I don't know what it is. I think it's
He's going to get second. He's going to get second. He's going to get 5.5.
He'll get 2 QB hits if he's lucky.
He'll get 5 QB hits. That is the game.
Currently,
Jalen Hurts.
Currently, Derek Thomas had 8 sacks in a game.
He's that guy. I just don't know. Speaking of that, though, how do you have 8 sacks in a game and you don't break the all-time record? Like, at that point, you have 15 other games to get 14 and a half sacks.
14 sacks.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
You need to average one sack a game.
It's great having Jovani on. Jovani, we really appreciate you being on. Anything anything else before you go about the Steelers or anything?
Just parting way words. I feel like the Steelers may look low, but we are going to shoot for the stars next season. Go Pittsburgh. And as Tony says, go subscribe to the channel if you're free. If it's not your contact, still do it. I do not care. You guys have a good one, and I thank you for having me.
Burrow and 4. We really appreciate you. Once again, thank you, Jovani, for coming in, talking some Steelers. Hopefully we can get more into that, bringing some people in. Obviously, we love, different points of view on just, the sports world. We're going to talk some college football playoff because the committee decided that They will rock with the 14 playoff until 2025 when their lease is up. Daniel, I want to hear your opinions on this first. Do you think the 4 team is a good or bad idea?
I think the answer is it's the sky blue, and I would say the sky is blue, and that means that the committee really made the wrong decision, like they do all the time. They snub teams from the playoffs, and they made the wrong decision here. They really people have been desperately saying, we need to add a team to the playoffs. We need at least an 18 playoff. Then they suggested a 12-team playoff that they were okay with, where the top four seeds would get buys, and then the bowl games would play into the 4 seeds, which makes a lot more sense because if the four best teams really are that much better, then they should get buys, and then these other 8 teams should play, and then the winner of those would go to the next round. I just think it's a sad excuse for them to not have better TV ratings in the 4 games because they're scared that adding extra games would lower their TV ratings. It's not okay. They should need to put the NCAA is a non-for-profit organization. Like they should not be working for profit here, right? They should not be caring about the profit margins they're making. They should be caring about putting the best product and college athletes in a position to succeed, and giving every other sport, like college basketball, has 64 teams make the tournament, but only 4 teams make the tournament for football. How does that make sense?
Okay. First of all, I wouldn't compare the two simply because it's called March Madness. Anything could happen, and it's basketball is like a different type of landscape. You can play so many games in a short amount of time. I think they made the right decision, and I'm going to explain in a way. Let's look at all the games this year. None of the games were good. None of these games were good. This committee has a hard time finding 4 good teams. Every single year, there is an unbelievably hard blowout in the first round. I think they have a tough time finding 4 good teams. Much less trying to expand. The only way I could see expanding, helping out, is to help the importance of bowl games. So like this year, winning the Rose Bowl was cool. The Ohio State receivers were going off. It was such a fun game. Now imagine if that was a playoff game and actually meant something. That's a little different. Use these bowl games to make more college football rankings. But honestly, you cannot get a lot of good games. You don't. And another thing is, I don't believe Texas A&M, they have 4 losses this year. Let's say they sneaked into the playoff. Why do they deserve a chance? They don't deserve a chance. They've lost 4 times. You should not be able to lose. Maybe some teams who are like like Ohio State was a 2-loss team. Maybe they deserve to get in. Maybe they put up a pretty good fight, even though their defense wasn't that good this year. But
so imagine that Alabama and Georgia get a bye. They get a bye, and 2 teams, and then you have 10 other teams that make the playoff, the 12-team playoff. And in this 12-team playoff, you'd have teams like Notre Dame. You'd have teams like Ohio State. You'd have teams like Michigan State who deserve to be in the playoffs but have never had a chance because just the nature of the college football playoff right now. These teams deserve a chance in the playoffs, but under a 14 playoffs, they don't. Their bowl games are meaningless, and that's why people sit out. Like Kenny Pickett sat out his bowl game because
that's a good point.
I don't care.
It's not important. These bowl games, but what I think you got one thing you didn't hit on. Okay, or maybe 2 things. Let's say you win your first round game. Let's say you're a 10 seed, you win your first round game, whatever, and then you got to play like Alabama next round. You're gonna get cooked. You're gonna get destroyed. You know what I'm saying? And I think no one.
Here's the thing.
No one has an excuse. Go ahead.
If a 10 seed wins that game, right? I think they deserve the right. Because they just beat a 4 seed, right? Or they just beat a 3 seed or the 4 seed. Because you'd have that 12 seed versus the 3 seed, and the 4 seed versus the 10 seed. If a 10 seed wins that game, they deserve to go into the next round and play that team. Because they just beat a team who would have been proposed in original 4-team college playoff.
See, you're thinking of it as, give them a chance and maybe they'll win. but I'm thinking it from a chance of you already had 10 or 12 games to prove it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's
but
just
like,
it's just like the NBA. Like you have 82 games to prove it. Why do we have a play-in? If you're not a top 8 team by the end of the season, you do not deserve it.
then explain why Penn State a couple years ago went 12-1, lost to Ohio State, and wasn't in the college football playoff. Or
What was Ohio
explain to
State's
me
record?
why
What was Ohio State? Did they
I
have
think
one
they went
loss?
undefeated. I think they went
Okay,
undefeated.
then there's your answer.
Yeah, but like Penn State still
Uh,
deserved it when
a
Saquon was
one
there, right?
loss a one loss SEC will always get in over a one loss anyone else because the SEC runs college football. That's why.
I agree. And that really draws into different issues where the SEC could break away and form a super league, which is almost, they might be doing right now, getting Oklahoma.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because Spencer Rattler didn't duck the SEC smoke.
Yeah, he
He
stayed,
went right
but
to him.
I don't know. It's
Yeah,
just
but
it's a big issue.
moving on to our last topic, we're going to talk some spring football. The United States Football League. They're going to be, hosting their draft soon. They're going to be playing. I don't know how many weeks it is. I believe maybe 10 or something like that. But there's a couple teams out. A couple off the top of my head I can think of. There's like the Stallions, Bandits, Maulers, Breakers, Stars. I'm rocking with the Philadelphia Stars
Yo,
just because they're the home team.
I'm not gonna lie. The Maulers remind me of Clemson. Their uniforms, they're
Yeah.
clean.
Clemson did the purple and orange better. Are you rocking with the Maulers? Are you rocking with the Pittsburgh team?
I want to rock with the Maulers, but I like the Stars.
Going with the
The
Stars. Whoever
Stars,
signs Johnny Manziel. Whoever throws Johnny Manziel a bag.
the Stars uniforms are really pretty clean.
There's a lot of red in the league. There's a lot of red.
Yeah, there's a lot of red.
Yeah, but the Maulers, they got. I like their purple and orange concept. I like the Breakers with their blue and white. Pretty sure I don't know how many. I'd have to get another look at the uniforms.
I can pull them up right now. Let's share them through the podcast.
Me and Jovani were looking at them before we recorded this. It's pretty dope stuff. Not even gonna lie. I'm excited for the league though. It provides football all year around. Gives obviously people a chance. Like PJ Walker, he came from the AAF.
These are the Maulers uniforms. I think these go hard. Reminds you of like a arena league version of Clemson almost, right?
Yeah, no. I definitely see the vision. I kind of like them. Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, I think that they're definitely really hard. I think they're the most unique uniforms out of everyone in the USFL because there's, like we said, there's a whole lot of red.
Yeah, but I think this will be good. This will probably get some guys some jobs in the NFL, and it's another way for college athletes. If you don't want to go to college, you can just go there. Or if you don't think you're ready for the NFL, you can just go there instead of spending another year at college. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't see it being like a G League for football, but I do see football starting to realize that there are prospects like Bryce Young. There are young prospects that need a developmental year or can come right in the NFL and play, rather than come to college football and playing college football for 3 years. There are some prospects that are ready to come in and make an impact in the NFL team. I'm saying some because it's very few, but they could have some sort of developmental league where a team develops a player, and if he's deemed ready at some time, that he enters the draft with a certain team. I think that would make a lot of sense for providing that alternative for college. I don't know what the logistics would look like for money wise or funding it, but I think it makes a lot more sense providing that alternative to college for these players because the age of like breakout is getting younger. Like Jamar Chase put up what 1,800 yards including the playoffs in his rookie year.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah, but we're running out of time on here. You made some really good points, though, about the USFL or maybe a developmental league. But, we're running out of time here, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you guys tune in to Sideline Summit on all platforms every Wednesday and Sunday. Make sure to turn into my channel every Monday and Friday for NBA, NFL videos, all that kind of stuff. Danny, anything before we go?
Now, just tune into your prior episode of the NBA What Ifs. I think that really got into some deep conversations of what if something happened, and I believe you're continuing going to make them, correct?
Yeah, definitely. I have to make a West version of that.
Yeah, the West version really could get
Yeah,
really
that could shake
crazy
up.
because I think
Could shake up.
the West is so up in the air right now, especially with the Lakers kind of free falling with AD's injury. But that's aside.
Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in. This will be posted on Sunday, and then make sure you guys tune in on Wednesday. All platforms again. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, do all the stuff you're supposed to do on a YouTube, or if you're on Spotify, Apple Podcast. Leave a rate, download. Make sure you guys follow us on social media. From me and Danny, make sure you guys have a great day.
Yeah, enjoy.